Hi folks, welcome along to another of our tuning for max immersion videos, and this time it's on the Lotus 79 F1 car that we drove in the season 4, was it, of 2022 in iRacing. Second proper competitive season that I got into since building the sim rig. And yeah, this is just a video on how we took all the bits and bobs that formed the rig together that we spec'd and built. Obviously, you can watch. There's a link up there. I'll put it in the description as well, down below. On the building my virtual race car series, and that'll show you all the different components. We kind of made a little video each step of the way. My thoughts on things, how we integrated it into the rig, etc. But this is really just a short video to show the settings that we used in the software and the various different hardware settings and things that we used to make me feel as close as I feel it is to driving a Lotus 79. Obviously, I've never driven one in real life, but this gave me the. I have to say more so than if you've watched the previous one we did in the Lotus 49. I think this gave me an even more immersive feel. I really was shattered at the end of races, especially in the likes of the well, all of them actually. To be fair, it was a really tough car to drive, but again, I feel like that gave me the feeling that I was actually driving it. So that's the whole point of my sim rig, and when we built it and put it together, that was the goal. So anyway, so here we go. Let's fire in. Start off with the steering wheel, of course. Now, again, if you watched the last video on the Lotus 49, you know we had the replica steering wheel for that. So from the same guys at 3D Wrap in Italy, they do. Now, those of you the eagle-eyed among you will realise this is not a Lotus 79 steering wheel. This is a Lotus 98T, I believe, which was the one that Ayrton Senna drove famously in 1986. However, it is the same diameter, the same kind of materials, same feel as the one that was in the Lotus 79. So yeah, it's as close as we can get to the actual feel. So it did the job. Obviously, in the 79, these two buttons didn't exist, so you can plug these in via. There's a plug on the back that 3D Wrap will give you the cable to plug it in and use the buttons, but I didn't use them because obviously the real car didn't have them. But as far as look and feel and size goes, this was ideal. Really happy with it. Nice kind of I don't know, is that suede type material around the wheel? But yeah, it's slightly narrower as well than the Lotus. You can maybe see it's narrower than the Lotus 49 wheel, which obviously is true to life. But I think again because with the 49 you didn't have the downforce, so you're kind of just, there was lots of big movements of the wheel to get the car to kind of slide it through a corner and drift it through a corner. Whereas with the 79, it's because of all that extra grip, you've really got to be very precise and very twitchy in the steering wheel. And again, the smaller diameter helped to do that. So yeah, really love the steering wheel. Well done, guys at 3D Wrap. Thank you very much. Connected it as I do with all my wheels to the rig with the Cube Controls QRW, whatever it was, QRX, I think, quick release. And yeah, that worked fine onto the base that we have here. I do find that, I know they say that, I think I heard somewhere that the Cube Controls say that their tolerances are so fine that you don't need to change the amount of shims in the male part for the female part to fit in, but you do. But it's not a big job, it's a couple of screws to take the shims out and make a note of which shims match which wheel, and yeah, it doesn't take long to swap them around, and that's that. So yeah, fantastic. Love the steering wheel. So second, how obviously do we set up the main bit of kit, the SimuCube 2 Ultimate Wheelbase? Right, so here we are in the SimuCube software through Drive, and yeah, so the wheel represented on screen, obviously, with the little image that we put in there. And then if we pop across to the settings, sorry. And yeah, here's all the profiles we saved. So if we go to the Lotus 79, show you guys what I've run. So I'll try and expand this a little bit, make sure you can see it all. The settings at the bottom aren't really stuff we touch, but nevertheless. So yeah, so main thing, overall strength, I've got it at 50%, which is a maximum torque of about 15.7 Newton meters. Again, this wheelbase is capable of some silly forces, and again, it's just undrivable if you run it away up at the top. but this gave me a good feel. It's I mean that's still a good workout, especially on the narrower wheel setting, the narrower wheel diameter. That's still a good workout, and I was happy that gave me a pretty physical feel in the car. Again, 900 degrees lock to lock, a hard bump stop, nothing fancy there. Again, all the rest of these settings, I'm not going to go through what they all do and things. You can just take a screen grab and pause the video here if you want to try these out, if it works for you. But yeah, this really worked for me in this car. As I say, I'm really happy with the feeling of the steering wheel this time. More so. I mean, even the Lotus 49 was amazing, but yeah, I was really happy with the settings in this. Again, no power steering in these days, so again, it's set up to be quite visceral and quite sharp on the bumps and things. So you'll see, and that comes across, I think, on the video as well, is that the onboards that we did, is that you can see the car kind of moving around, and the steering wheel fighting back to me through the corners and over the bumps and things. So again, yeah, love the feel I got from that. And yeah, if those settings are useful to you, then feel free to try them out. So next we have the Heusinkveld Ultimate Plus pedals, obviously, and these are the settings that we used. Obviously the pedals are working as shown on the displays there. So yeah, first of all, starting with the throttle. So the throttle, nothing to say there really. It's exactly the same as it was. We've got a little dead zone at the bottom and the top. Nice linear progression, and yeah, no issues with that. Nice and straight. The brake. So the brake was set at 75 kilogram maximum load, which again is up quite a bit from what we had in the Lotus 49. But again, with the downforce and the greater speeds and things, I figured that again gave me a realistic. You know, you've got to stamp on it a lot. I mean, that's pretty much the same weight as me. With hard rubber stiffness, and because obviously with the extra load, it should be quite a stiff pedal, and quite a reasonable dead zone there. Just about there. Again, I've set it to where I feel the resistance of the pedal really ramping up. So you've got the preload of the kind of spring and things, and then that's when you start feeling the rubbers kicking back on you. So yeah, it's around about, what's that, about 21% or so in the dead zone. So yeah, and it's quite a press to get the full whack. And again, when you're sitting just pressing the pedal, you think, oh, that's too stiff. But when you're actually driving the car and you're in the zone and you're when you're actually driving the car and you're in the zone and you're actually, you know, on track, then that is an appropriate force, I think, to be pressing on the pedal. So yeah, like that. The clutch, yeah, the clutch is something that if you watched any of the live streams, especially early on, I wasn't the biggest, wasn't as friendly with the clutch as I probably should have been. But this is what we settled on eventually. The dead zone in this car, the bite point in this car is around about the kind of 76-77% mark. So it was trying to get a quick, because when you go, you've got to dump the clutch to the dead zone and then just bleed off the rest gradually. And it was getting that dead zone to be easy to find through, you know, the shape of the curve here. And it took a little bit of tweaking to get there, but I got to a position in the end that my starts weren't horrible. Again, a lot of the guys in the championship used some of the fancier clutch systems or the auto clutch and things, and to get a better start. But you know, I try to do it realistically. I refuse to go down that road, just out of personal choice, obviously. And yeah, I think we got to a stage that I was reasonably happy with it to start. By the end. So yeah, those are the clutch settings, and if anyone wants to try those out, then yeah, help yourself. So next is the H pattern shifter itself, and I've zoomed in a little bit with the camera so you get a better look at what I'm doing with the shifter. But it's an H pattern gearbox, obviously, old school style shifting. You don't need to press the clutch to change gear. It's just a lift, like a dog type gearbox, so lift and then blip the throttle and the brakes, which again, if you watch the live streams we did, you can see that. Still absolutely in love with the ProSim Quaife gearbox here. It's just it just feels like a real box. It's amazing. And again, rattling through the gears manually in this car was something else. One of the biggest things I noticed with this car, again, coming from the Lotus 49, the older style car, is that with the downforce, the braking zones are so much shorter. And because of that, you actually change gear so much quicker on the way down the box, and you really have to be, blipping banging the throttle and banging through the box, and it's very easy to miss gears. But again, that's realistic. And again, you can see from that you get an appreciation for where the need for the paddled gearboxes came, because as the cars got faster and faster, the braking zones got shorter and shorter, and having to change down through the manual box that quickly was just getting ridiculous. Yeah, it was bad enough in this car. So anyway, but the other tweak with this car is that in the real world, again, that we simulated here in the sim, is that they have what's called a dogleg layout. So usually in a gearbox, and again, what I was used to in the Formula Ford, and as you see in normal road cars and things, first is towards you and forward, and then second is towards you and back, and then you've got third and fourth. That's all the Formula Ford had, but you've got fifth up there, and you've got sixth down there, if you have them. But the dogleg, the theory behind the dogleg is in a race car you spend a lot of time between second and third, and then fourth and fifth. Just the way the corners tend to be, it tends to be in second gear a lot. So changing between second and third, and a normal gearbox, obviously, second back here, you've got to go up and into the middle and then forward. So you're going across the gate, if you like, to change gear. So the way a dogleg works is that first is towards you and back, which is backwards. So taking you a while to get your head around that to start. Then second is straight forward, and then the advantage is that third is straight back. So if you're doing a lot of changes between second and third, it's just a case of knocking it backwards and forward. You don't have to worry about going up, diagonally through a gate or anything. It's they're just there. So yeah, so first is there, second straight ahead, third fall back, fourth you go through the gate to that side away from you, and then again fourth and fifth are right next to each other. So fifth, no sixth gear in the Lotus. So there's that top gear, fifth. It does have a reverse, which again down and away, but I don't think I needed to use reverse too much. I either spun and got back on the track again, or properly crashed and couldn't reverse out. So yeah, but again, really love this gearbox. Can't recommend it enough to anyone who's wanting a proper the proper feel of an H-pattern gearbox on your rig. My wife doesn't love it so much because, as you can probably hear from the the microphone, it makes quite a lot of noise. So yeah, and obviously if you can't hear the car, all you hear is the banging of the gearbox. It can get quite annoying. So apologies, and thank you for putting up with it, Karen, all these races. Yeah, but anyway, I love it, so it's good. So the final thing to take you through on the cockpit here is obviously how we laid out the buttons down the bottom. So I'll bring up an image here and show you what all the buttons do. So starting at the top left, again very similar to the Lotus 49 actually. So if you've watched that video, there's not much new here. A little bit the right hand side, but anyway, top left we've got the ignition switch, the starter button just below that. And below that, I used these for these 6 buttons for navigating mostly the multifunction display, the little black box you get in iRacing. So top left was just to OK things. The plus and minus is to go, if you want to increase or decrease anything, like if you didn't make pit stops or anything, but just if you needed to, that was there. The button below that in the middle and the left I actually used for the visor tear off, because again your visor gets dirty in open wheel cars and in iRacing, so you need to do a tear off now and again. You'll see me sometimes do that on the sim, on the stream. And the bottom two were to page back and forth through the black box. Usually had it on the what do you call it, the delta mode, basically showing the gaps, the cars in front, cars behind. But you could cycle through and have a look at different screens using that. And of course the bottom knob was to adjust the brake bias. Not too much brake bias adjustments required in the Lotus 79. Certainly for my style, it tended to be one size fits all. But sometimes you have to make a little adjustment and you could spin it there. Again, just as it was in the real car, right clockwise rotation to go back, and left anti-clockwise rotation to go forward with the bias. On the right hand side top, you've got the SimuCube torque off switch, very important to hit that if you're heading towards a wall or something, or just to have a break, get the steering wheel off, and hit that to cut the torque so you can get out the car for a bit. And then the two below that, so this Lotus 79 has adjustable anti-roll bars front and back. So the red one says front above it, that was to make the front roll bar stiffer or softer, and then the rear one below it, the black, was to do the rear. That was something that was really important in this car. The car is very sensitive to the aero balance, and obviously as the fuel comes out, the ride heights change, which has a significant effect on the aero, on the handling of the car. So you really needed to start off, and again, it took me towards to the last couple of races of the season to really start getting in tune with this. But you really needed to start off at the stiffest rear roll bar setting, and pretty much the softest front roll bar setting at the start of the race. And as the race goes on, the car gets more and more oversteery, so you soften and soften and soften with the back, or you can stiffen the front as well, to kind of maintain the kind of balance that you need in the car. And yeah, it took me a while to kind of get to the stage, probably with the car set up, that I was comfortable to actually use that effectively in the race. But we got there in the end eventually. So yeah, so that is the rig. That is all the different settings and things. Nothing else has really changed as far as screen layouts or the onboard camera. You can see over my shoulder there. It's the same idea as we had in the Lotus 49. Keyboard's still here for anything I need that for. Seating position's basically the same. I think I'm maybe a little bit further back. Just with the steering wheel's got a little bit extra depth on it, so we just pulled a notch back. But yeah, the angle and all that's all very similar to what it was in the Lotus 49. Still feels good, still feels like a proper race car, so happy with that. So yeah, the best way to end the video, I would say, is to take you guys on board for a bit from my point of view. So we'll do a driver's point of view lap around probably Long Beach. That was my favourite circuit, where we got our best result in the broadcast races, our 4th place. And yeah, I think being a street circuit, I really loved it. I love street circuits, especially. And I mean, I never really drove street circuits in real life, in any kind of anger anyway. But yeah, I love, and especially it comes through in the sim, it really, how dangerous it is and how close you are at the walls all the time, really focuses the mind. So it was a really immersive race, and again, we did quite well there in the broadcast race. So yeah, we'll take you some onboard lap, an onboard lap or two around there, to see what the rig's like in action. Thanks for watching, folks. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll see you in the next one, whether that is on a recorded video or a live stream. Thanks for tuning in. Really appreciate it. And yeah, see you later. Bye. Here we're at Long Beach then, in this awesome Lotus 79 F1 car. Let's pull out the pits and do some laps. Proper old school. Heat into the tyres. Nice and easy to start with. Right, let's go for a lap, shall we? Around the hairpin. Let's do one more. Yeehaw! I love this car. Hope you enjoyed that, folks. See you next time.